Hello students, welcome to EPG Pathshala. In this module, we will study about man and wildlife conflicts. Actually, in other modules, you may have studied about what is wildlife and what is its importance and what are the causes of reduction or losses or endangerment of the wildlife. In recent years, you might have seen in the newspapers or on different websites that a number of times wildlife and human beings, they interact with each other, and that may lead to the loss of humans as well as that of wildlife. So, this module has been designed to know that what are the causes of human and wildlife conflicts and what can be the remedies to overcome these human and wildlife conflicts. And in the text you will find some examples as well as some case studies. Earth is the only planet proven to support life, is endowed with a wide variety of flora and fauna, right from the algae to the higher plants, further to the more complex human beings. The variety of life forms on the planet never ceases to amaze anyone. In spite of such diversity, these life forms are interlinked with one another and as such dependent on each other for survival. Let me take one example. For instance, certain carnivore species like the felines, here I am talking about the cat family like tigers, panthers, etc. They feed on other animals like the deer or other herbivorous animals for their survival. Even a large number of human beings devour delicious delicacies prepared in our kitchen from other animals such as poultry, lamb, fish and so many other animals. As such, an alteration in the number of one species of living form may directly or indirectly have a bearing or effects on the survival of other species also. In some other module you will study about keystone species also. Over there also you will get some idea that how presence of one animal may affect the presence of other animals. Now, before going to the causes and remedies of human and wildlife interactions or conflicts, let me try to know what is wildlife. According to Wildlife Protection Act 1972, wildlife includes any animals, bees, butterflies, crustaceans, fish and moths and aquatic or land vegetation which forms part of any habitat. So, this is the definition given under Wildlife Protection Act 1972. Now, what is conflict? How to define the conflict? Basically, a protracted disagreement between two opposing forces because of incompatibility is called as a conflict. Now, let me come to the man and wildlife conflicts. Let me try to understand what is this man and wildlife conflict. A new concept termed as man and wildlife conflict, also sometimes referred as human and wildlife conflict. What exactly does this concept signify? WWF, that is World Wildlife Fund for Nature, has officially defined man and wildlife conflict as any interaction between humans and wildlife that results in negative impacts on human social, economical or cultural life, on the conservation of wildlife populations or on the environment. The basic idea is very simple to understand. Generally, humans try not to come in contact with wildlife in the places where they dwell, that is human settlements, as far away from wildlife as possible. This serves to prevent either species from harming one another. However, due to an arising need such as explosion of the population and exploration of food or other resources, humans may invade the forest areas and carry out measures such as deforestation, thus disturbing the plant and animal wildlife of that particular region. This not only harm the jungle flora and fauna and consequently the environment also, but in turn also exposes the human beings to certain perils such as human casualties, crop damage and loss of subsequent economy, loss of property or livestock, and even zoonosis, that is diseases that can be transmitted from animals to the human beings, that may also happen when human beings and wildlife interact or some kind of when they come in the contact of each other. So, this kind of things may happen. Now, let me try to classify human and wildlife interactions can be classified on the basis of continuum, intensity and frequency. On the basis of continuum, human and wildlife interaction may be positive, may be negative. On the basis of intensity, human and wildlife interactions may be minor or may be severe. Similarly, on the basis of frequency, these human and wildlife interaction may be rare or common. Now, basically human wildlife conflicts, they may be direct or they may be indirect. The direct interactions are mainly due to growing human populations, land and resource use, technology, transportation and road kills, energy, urbanization, global infestation of agriculture. These are some of the direct causes of human and wildlife interaction. And indirect causes includes global warming and climate change. Wild animals can attack humans, and such attacks can be broadly classified as territorial attacks, defensive or predatory attacks. Territorial attacks, what are territorial attacks? When wild animals attack other animals or humans that invade or trespass their territory, such type of attacks are called as territorial attacks. Now, defensive attacks. When a wild animal perceives danger from a human and attacks him or her in order to protect itself, that is called as a defensive attack. Predatory attack, when a wild animal attacks humans as a prey for food, that is called as predatory attack. This predatory attack has usually been seen among tigers that become too old or injured and hence cannot prey on other animals that are too fast or too swift for it. Thus, they begin to prey on humans, which are easier to hunt than other animals. Such tigers are termed as man-eaters. Dear students, there is a book called as Man-Eaters of Kumail. I will suggest you to know and you should try to read this book, that what is this book and regarding what are given, what are the contents of this book. Now the question arises, what are the causes of human wildlife conflicts? There are several reasons of human wildlife conflicts, and these reasons or causes include increase in human population, encroachment of forest lands, livestock grazing, road kills. These are the major reasons of human wildlife conflict. There may be many other reasons. So, we will be discussing these reasons in brief one by one. Increase in human population. The expansion of urban and rural parts also increase in requirements of people. As a result of increasing population has led to many settlements coming up near the peripheries of protected areas, encroaching the forest areas and using it for their own benefits. Moreover, land is also required for agriculture to feed the increasing population and also for horticultural purposes. So, this is first and most important cause giving rise to conflicts between man and wildlife. Here you see in this photograph that wildlife has come near to the settlements, and then ultimately humans overpowered the wildlife, and there was loss of wild animal. The second cause is encroachment of forest lands. An increase in human population obviously leads to increase in the requirements of the population. The construction of hydroelectric power plants, as well cleaning for forests, for mining and industries also contribute to encroachment of forest areas. Such human activities can fragment large animal habitats into smaller patches. This threaten their existence and ultimately increase the complex of wildlife with the humans. The third major cause of human and wildlife conflicts is the livestock grazing. Livestock grazing in forest areas can affect wildlife in multiple ways. Firstly, the livestock compete with the wild herbivores for palatable plant species and water, thus creating a scarcity for the indigenous herbivore population. Secondly, livestock mainly feed on the young saplings, affecting the regeneration of plants and tree species. Particularly, this animal grazing with respect to loss of young plants and germination of seeds is very severe in the monsoon seasons. Moreover, the presence of livestock attracts the carnivores, thus exposing them to retaliatory trapping and killing by humans, so as to protect the livestock, because humans may kill the wildlife to protect their livestock. Further, an increased contact between livestock and wildlife can aid in the spread of communicable diseases from domestic to wild animals or from wild animals to domestic animals, and ultimately these diseases may come to the human beings also. The scientific studies in the Bandipur Tiger Reserve have been carried out, and based upon those studies, it has been found that the population of wild ungulates declines in areas where the grazing pressures are high. Overgrazing also harms the environment indirectly by increasing the rate of soil erosion. The fourth major cause of human and wildlife conflicts is road kills. You might have read in different newspapers that a number of animals either attacked the human beings while crossing the roads, or the human beings killed the animals when they came on the road. Similarly, you might have seen in the newspaper, it's very common. You will find a number of videos on YouTube, on Google also in this regard. Particularly, I am talking about the railway tracks, because the killing of elephants in Rajaji National Park is happen quite frequently. It happens. So, with increase in industrial development, road construction has increased exponentially. Here, when I say road, please take railway construction also into your consideration. The traffic density in India is estimated to increase at the rate of about 10% per year. Some of the roads developed to handle this traffic pass through the forest areas. Apart from fragmenting the natural habitat of the wildlife, actually what happens, suppose there is a very large area for some kind of animals. Once a road is there from that area for that is habitat of that particular wild animal, that is fragmented. So, apart from fragmenting the natural habitat of the wildlife, driving at high speed combined with poor eyesight or poor reflexes on the part of the animal contribute to high incidence of road accidents. The common victims of such accidents are the nocturnal animals such as mouse deer, civet cats, black-napped hares, leopards and some sambars, and there may be many more small size animals which are the biggest victims of this road accidents. There have been several reports of tigers, elephant calves or elephants even, cheetahs, dholes, sloth bears, wolves, black bucks and other large mammals killed in numerous road accidents. Death of an animal in a road accident may indirectly impact the ecosystem immensely. Death of herbivores may deplete the carnivore animals. Death of a female tiger may starve her cubs. Thus, various precautionary measures that we will be discussing later need to be implemented to reduce the incidence of such road accidents. Here I have shown two photographs where you will find that how the elephants are crossing the road and accident may happen during this crossing. Second, in the second picture you will find that wildlife, that is elephant, is attacking the one vehicle. So, such kind of things are very common in those states where we have dense forest areas, particularly I am talking about northeast. Now, what are the effects of these conflicts? These conflicts may lead to mortality and injuries to human beings, mortality and injuries to endangered or threatened animals, loss of livestock, crop damage and even loss of property, that may be buildings, vehicles, equipments, etc. Here in this slide I have shown two newspaper cuttings which have very elaborately shown about human and wildlife conflicts and how they are affecting each other. This slide is very important. Some data has been given in this slide on encounters between man and animals happened in recent years and how bloody they are. Here in this figure you will find that the people killed by wild animals between April 2013 to March 2016. Here you will find that in West Bengal about 307 people were killed by the wildlife. Similarly, in Assam the number is 250, in Odisha 214, in Jharkhand 175, in Tamil Nadu 135, in Karnataka 115, in Uttarakhand 5. So, this figure shows that how the humans have been killed by the wild animals due to their conflict. Similarly, on the left hand side you will find that 1360 people killed by tigers and elephants between April 2013 to March 2016, 769 people killed by tigers and elephants between 2010 to 2013, 631 people killed by tigers and elephants between 2007 to 2010. So, here you will find that with the time the frequency of conflicts between man and wildlife is increasing, as well as the number of people killed by animals is also increasing. This is a point where we should think, we should ponder on it, that how we can take care of this all. So, now let me come to the possible remedies, that how to avoid this all. The solution to human wildlife conflict cannot be carried out at an individual level. It necessitates the cooperation and coordination between different stakeholders and coordinated and regulated measures that should be implemented on a large scale. Now, here I have given some measures that can be tried or that can be attempted to avoid the human and wildlife conflicts. So, the possible measures can be improvement of habitat, barriers between human and wildlife, training program to human beings, so they avoid interaction with the wildlife, then technical support and regulation of traffic, that is very important. We will be discussing these remedies one by one. So, let me come to the improvement of habitat. The Ministry of Environment should shoulder the responsibility of improving the natural habitats for the wild animals. Studies should be conducted to identify the ideal or the best possible habitat for a particular animal, and its living in that particular habitat should be encouraged. For instance, a recently conducted study has identified the Palmau region in Jharkhand of India as a suitable habitat for the Asian elephants. So, some measures can be taken to promote the growth and to in that particular area and to avoid the entry of human beings in that area. The availability of food and water in these natural habitats should be augmented so that the animal excursions into animals exclusion into human settlements can be reduced or avoided. The second remedy may be barriers between human and wildlife. Physical barriers such as boundary walls, solar fences or trenches can be constructed to minimize animal movements into human settlements. Regulations should be in place to restrict the human habitation and farmlands to within a certain area of forest lands, so that direct contact between man and wildlife can be avoided as much as possible. Then training programs. The training programs should be for the forest officials, police and local population. They should be trained to avoid human wildlife conflict. They should realize the importance of not extending their settlements or agricultural land deep into the forest, and should also avoid overgrazing of livestock in the forests. Local cooperation is imperative, very important to reduce the incidence of human wildlife conflicts. A list of do's and don'ts from the ministry will be very helpful with strict punishments to deter any violations of these regulations. Then let me come to the other remedy, that is the technical support. Infrastructure and necessary medical facilities should be provided in case any wild animal or human get injured in case of a conflict. Previously, I have shown you a picture where this cat family member has been captured by some villagers and they are killing it. If we would have trained these villagers, forest officials, then that loss of that animal could have avoided. Okay. Hospitals should be established both for humans as well as veterinary hospitals to attend these both. Measures should also be taken to rehabilitate the injured animals in rescue centers and release them back into their natural habitats. Then another very important measure can be regulation of traffic in forest areas. Construction of roads within forests or natural habitats for wild animals should be avoided as much as possible. We know in this era of development, in this era of industrialization, this is really not possible. If any such road is constructed, measures should be adopted to save the movement of animals by constructing natural corridors. Speed regulations for vehicles should be imposed for drivers driving through the forest roads, especially during night time, and violators should be strictly punished. Similar kind of things should be done for the railway tracks also. Speed calming measures such as speed breakers, road humps, rumble strips or other things, whatever are possible, can also be constructed at appropriate locations. If I come to the conclusion of this module, the identification of reasons behind the human wildlife conflict is of utmost importance. Considering the current human population growth rate, the increasing demand for natural resources and the growing pressure for access to land, it is clear that human wildlife conflict will not be eradicated in the near future. Rather, the data which I have shown clearly indicate because of these reasons the human and wildlife conflicts are increasing every year. The conflicts occur particularly when growing human population overlap with the established wildlife territories. Human need to understand that losing even a single keystone species can create a series of linked extinction events known as extinction cascade, that you will study in the another module of keystone species, that results in a degraded ecosystem which will eventually harm them. The current rate of species loss is unprecedented and irreversible. 99% of current extinctions are caused in some way by human activities. Thus, it is the long term it is in the long term survival interest of the people to reduce the conflicts, since all the species and ecosystems are interconnected and they must be protected. So, dear student, in this module we have studied that what are the man and wildlife conflicts, what are the causes and effects of man and wildlife conflicts, and what may be the possible remedies to avoid man and wildlife conflicts. Thank you.